are having their businesses online, making their sales online, those who are working in different countries away from where they are. And it is also a time when technology is really advancing, and we have seen that most of our universities are incorporating digital learning. That's where we are having meetings, or we are having classes online. And this became very rampant after the COVID-19 pandemic, when classes were not so physical as it used to, and it became a norm of having online classes. And now this morning we'll be having Ms. Benedict Nyokabi, who is an educational director at Sunrise Virtual School. And this is a school that really is fully incorporating virtual learning from a young age, and it's having Cambridge curriculum. So from 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. your child can go to school at home. Your child can have the classes from 8 a.m. in the morning to 3 p.m. in the afternoon, all of it virtually. So we'll be having a conversation on the same. How is this significant to the current revolution? How is the future of virtual learning? And incorporating all this in our education system, how effective is it? The milestone that we have made in terms of education, how effective is it? So if you're having questions regarding the two topics, mental health, that is emotional intelligence at workplace, you can send in your questions, because this show is also coming to you live on YouTube at KUTV Kenya. So you can send your questions right there. And also, if you're having questions on, if you're having doubts on how effective virtual learning can be, especially for the young children who require constant supervision, toka hapa, enda hapo, wacha hiyo, shika hii. So you can send in your questions on our social media platforms. If you're using X, you can use the hashtag Biashara Tuesday. If you're on YouTube, just on the chat box, send in your question, and we'll be able to see it and ask the guest on your behalf. Also this morning, we'll be having newspaper review. And should I say kama kawaida, we'll be joined by Ojwang Mariam and Kimani. They will be joining us for the newspaper review. And just talking about the newspaper review, this morning I'm having two papers with me here. That is the Daily Nation, which the biggest headline, the highlight they're having this morning is state terror, that even with no action taken against rogue security agents blamed for killing dozens of protesters during last June's Gen Z protest, there are growing concerns that a brutal crackdown on government critics has escalated. The latest victim of the state-sanctioned abduction is Juja Member of Parliament George Koimburi. Police claim he stage-managed his attack. Quite interesting time to be a Kenyan, you know. And this is why, because everyone is really loud on this issue, that why if a member of parliament can be abducted or can get lost and be found in a plantation and akichungulia kaburi, so to say, and the police say that he abducted himself, tortured himself, and then threw himself in the plantation. Quite an interesting time to be Kenyan. And I don't know who we should believe, because, you know, with politics, anything is possible. People abduct themselves. We've seen that happening. As a child, at one point in life, you hid from your parents, and just so you get attention. I don't know if this is attention seeking, or this is actually something that should needs our attention. That it's actually state capture, as they say. Not really state capture, but intimidation tactics used by the current regime. So on the Standard, the Daily Nation has several headlines. Also, State House hand in Professor Anangwe's resignation from UN leadership. We have a woman's 16 hours of horror, captain's death in the Indian Ocean. We also have conned by a prophet, and this mostly happens when it comes to lands. You've had cases of people being sold to land that is sold to around 10 people, or land that is non-existent. And now this case, it is in terms of betting, I think so. Rogue religious broadcaster will also talk about that. So that is on the Daily Nation. But coming on to the Standard wameamua leo, they are only having one headline, and that is sliding into anarchy. that is quite big, and still talking about the disappearance and the mysterious reappearance of Juja Member of Parliament George Koimburi. That is on the Standard. And you know something about the Star, if we move on to the Star, Star is always on their world. When others are talking about, oh, state capture, for them it's politics. A strong Jubilee could weaken regard the grip. Fallout looms as Gachagua Jubilee fight for dominance. So this is just the fight of the Mount Kenya. And in the recent past, we have had Deputy President Kithure Kindiki making several tours in several parts of the country, and this he calls empowerment tours. And in the empowerment tours, he offers handouts to business persons, let's say in groups, and he says that this is a way of empowering the local community, not as it is, as it has been witnessed before, where politicians only offer handouts to the public during campaigns and forget about them. So according to Kindiki, this is something that is meant to empower the community even as they are in government. And analysts say that this is a move to secure the mountain, or to secure the already lost hope in this regime. I don't know how that is, but there is clearly a fight over the Mount Kenya, and we have several leaders fighting over it. We have Rigathi Gachagua, we have Fred Matiang'i, Jeremiah Kioni, Ngunjiri Wambugu, and Gathoni Wamushomba. All these speak of a possible fallout due to the current fight of the grip of the Mount Kenya region. Most people say that if you don't have the mountain, you won't win. I don't know how this happens, because as it looks like, our president is quite sure that he's going to win the 2027 election, and is not so keen on securing the mountain. So I don't know how that is possible, or how that is impossible. Several headlines also there on the Star break down why Kenyan medics are in big trouble. Hunger for wholesome food rises as illness soar. We also have court upholds death sentence of brutal wife killer. And just on the same, we had an incident yesterday in Kisii. But Wakisi, please, I'm not having anything against you. But in the recent past, we've had so many cases of domestic violence, that a son killed the father, stabbed the father, a father stabbed the son. And yesterday we had one where a 58-year-old man stabbed the stepson because of family issues. And this man is having two wives. The wives also complained to the chief that wanakimbizwa, wanapigwa. So I don't know what is happening in Kisii, or it's just the whole country. It's just that Kisii is the one that is highlighted. But still, coming back to mental health, that is what we'll be talking about also this morning. So that is on our dailies. We'll be talking more about that on our newspaper review. And on this show, we've had several guests who have been here on the show from Kenyatta University's different departments, and we have had conversation on how they can enhance interaction with foreign nations, that is fostering global exchange programs. And about 2 weeks ago, we had Dr. Frederick Ndede, and we had a very insightful interview about global entrepreneurship talent management, and that was the phase 4. And during the show, he was talking about how the university and the stakeholders or researchers who are in the GETM4 program will be flying to Ireland. And last week, Dr. Margaret Kosgei, a secondee from KU, traveled to for that project, that is 2025 GETM4 Sandpit project at Warsaw University in Poland. And this is also to emphasize the diversity and cultural exchange. So it is a meeting or an engagement, a global exchange that brought together different universities for a common goal of coming up with research projects that are really impactful to the public, and will be used probably by the policy makers to ensure that there is entrepreneurship is fostered, especially among the youths and all the age groups, and it benefits both Kenya and all the world, all the other countries in the world. So it brings in insights from different countries. Still on the same, we have the cutting edge research technology that is dedicated to bringing researchers together, and it also highlights universities' achievement in terms of bringing stakeholders together for researches that are very impactful to the society. That is also something that is really focused by KUTV, and we are so pleased to witness how it is going as far beyond Kenyatta University and beyond Kenya. And also, there was a teaching mobility in Europe. That is where Professor John Mugubi from the Department of Communication, Media, Film and Theatre, and Dr. Anne Mwili from the Department of Fine Art and Design, where last week also they were engaged in a teaching mobility at the University of Prešov in Slovakia. And also we have Dr. Ratemo from the School of Law, who visited Masaryk University's Faculty of Law in the Republic of, in the CZEC Republic under the Erasmus program. And this also is something that is meant to, you know, as you can't know more if you just stay at your own confinement. So like they say that exposure will save you from a lot of crap, or from being pleased by mediocre treatment, or from breadcrumbs. That is also something that we are embracing. That exposure, when we see what other universities are doing in Europe, in the UK, what they're doing, we can also incorporate it in our country, so that we can even move further as a country in terms of our development.
So my name is Jakub Petri. I'm Associate Professor in the Institute of Philosophy of Jagiellonian University in Krakow, Poland. And I'm the main coordinator of the CAFE project, which is being here hosted by Kenyatta University.
My name is Ewa Hudoba. I am a project manager in this consortium. Keep watching cutting edge research at Kenyatta University Television.
KUTV nilipatia mahali pa kunawiri makali yangu.
KUTV imenisaidia sana, and hadi wa leo I still meet people who tell me, si wewe ulianzeaga KUTV?
Sikuamini. Mfano kabisa ningesema hujambo mtazamaji kwa sauti, lakini wakati huu nikisema hujambo, yani inakuja na ile command.
Back then, as much as it's a long time ago, they still recall.
Unakumbuka nilikuwa hapa KUTV wakati huo. Alafu simu ikaingia namba 0719. Hello, this is the Standard Group.
So it shows that visibility is definitely important.
Nikilinganisha safari hizo mbili, kuna utofauti mkubwa sana.
It was a dream come true.
Miti, panda. Our planet's future is in our hands. However, there is a threat to the brightness of this tomorrow. On EarthCheck, we share the challenges, the solutions, and the hope.
I would call this a very momentous day, a very critical day.
Every episode, every story, every step we take creates a ripple. Join me, the environmentalist Emmanuel Kutosi, on KUTV every Wednesday at 8 p.m. and be part of EarthCheck. Welcome.
Access to knowledge. protecting your property, intellectual or material.
This and more, only on Law Matters. And 4 continents.
Tunachimba hadi mizizi kuletea yanayojiri.
So mimi naomba tu serikali yetu ya Mungu, jibarikiwe na Mungu, iweze kuteremsha bei ya mafuta.
Yanayokukumba tuna maizi, tunakutetea sisiri. Kwa kweli ni speciali tukikupambia makala ya mwanamke mwake. Utasema hupendi mizizi ya habari. Nami Caroline.
Maelfu na maelfu ya wahamiaji wakiwa na watoto kutoka nchi za Amerika ya Kati wanaendelea kuwasili kwenye mpaka kati ya Marekani na Mexico.
But folks, I'm going. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Ni habari kutoka pembe zote duniani.
Pepopa si vuguvugu. Pepopa ni idea.
Sazidi ananyonya, hanyonyi vizuri, anakuwa hayuko comfortable.
Jeshi la Jamhuri ya Kidemokrasia ya Kongo linapambana na waasi wa ADF.
Kwa sasa wanatoa wito kwa mashirika, makampuni na vile vituo vya uchukuzi.
Mambo mengi yatakwenda kama yalivyopangwa.
Hapa ni kuna mmoja wa viongozi wa chama cha wavuvi katika eneo hili.
Zaidi tunajaribu kuwapa chanjo ili ina boost ama inanyanyua kinga ya mwili, hiyo inaenda kupelekea kupambana na virusi.
Ni duniani leo, Jumatatu mpaka Ijumaa, moja kwa moja kutoka VOA Swahili, Washington DC.
Where we ask the coolest questions in science. Let's go! Is yogurt really just rotten milk? Why do humans need sharks to survive? How did a 12-year-old boy from Africa invent modern vanilla farming? How do you deliver medicine to a chimpanzee? Can poop be useful? How can you save the planet by reducing air pollution? To help us answer these questions, we are inviting some wonderful guests from the world of science. They will enlighten you, make you hungry for knowledge, oxygenate your brain, and make your ideas flow. This is Engine Season 3. Let's go!
Baada ya kutafuta kazi, tunaweza kuanzisha miradi yetu ambayo ingetusaidia kubadilisha maisha ya wazazi wetu.
Kwa vijana wenzangu, wengi hawana kazi, lakini ikiwa sisi wenyewe tutajiamini, tunaweza kujiajiri wenyewe.
Afrika kwa kweli tuna mahitaji ambayo ukiyasuluhisha unaweza kuathiri watu kwenye bara hili
bila woga. Watu huwa na uzalishaji zaidi, wanajawa na ujasiri, wanakuwa wabunifu na wanakuwa wenye maarifa.
Niliamua kuacha kazi, hata kama sitafanikiwa, nitakuwa nimejaribu, nitakuwa najua haiwezekani.
Hakuna kitu cha ajabu hapa. Kila anayepata ufanisi hufanya kazi usiku na mchana.
Kitu kitakusukuma na kuwezesha kupata maarifa ambayo hukuwa nayo.
Tunajaribu kutengeneza kitu kitakachopita mipaka ya nchi hii.
Ikiwa unataka kubadilisha ulimwengu, anza na nyumbani.
Are you an aspiring media practitioner, a graduate, or you just want to advance your skills in television production? Then welcome to Kenyatta University, where education meets innovation. KUTV, The premier university television station in Kenya is now offering short courses in TV studio, field technical operations, and video editing. Through these courses, you will acquire hands-on skills on camera operations, media production, lighting techniques, audiovisual editing, and sound and visual control, and how to operate key equipment in modern TV control room. Enroll today at KUTV and discover your full potential in cutting-edge TV broadcasting. Graduates of these courses will receive professional certificates. For more information, visit our offices at KUTV Studios or call us on 020-870-4252 or 020-870-4255 or SMS us on 0739-110-544. KUTV, a new experience.
Jina langu naitwa Okemwa Mwokoa James.
This is Mandela Gaya.
Ugonjwa ulipokuja ulichukua siku 3 ukaniweka in coma. 20 wamezikwa, 2 ndio wako hai.
I don't even know how it feels to see.
I feel like I cannot express myself well the way somebody who can walk can actually express themselves.
Ilichukua muda mwingi mrefu tena mpana ili kuikubali kwamba mimi siwezi tembea tena.
I've come to actually accept myself.
Ukijaribu kumsimamisha mtu mwambie tafadhali nionyeshe njia.
They find it quite strange talking to you.
You should just make schools integrated,
Inclusive setups.
by providing the right facilities.
Hello everybody! Welcome to Engine, where we ask the coolest questions in science! Let's go! Is yogurt really just rotten milk? Why do humans need sharks to survive? How did a 12-year-old boy from Africa invent modern vanilla farming? How do you deliver medicine to a chimpanzee? Can poop be useful? How can you save the planet by reducing air pollution? To help us answer these questions, we are inviting some wonderful guests from the world of science. They will enlighten you, make you hungry for knowledge, oxygenate your brain, and make your ideas flow. This is Engine Season 3. Let's go!
Over the past 27 days or so, that is 27 days, like exactly 27 days, the month of May, a lot has been happening, and we are just about to tell you what has been happening. But first, before that, there is in the spirit of ensuring mental health, uniting the world through speed and strength. So ABSA Kipkeino Classic Continental Tour will be happening on 21st May 2025 at Ulinzi Sports Complex, Nairobi, Kenya. And this is just an activity that brings athletes or the sports person all together at one place in a spirit of uniting them through speed and strength. So that is in the spirit of mental health awareness as we are in this month of May, and it will be the last day of May 2025, that is on the 31st. Now, over the past 27 days or during the month of May, a lot has been happening in the country. We have a lot that we are going to tell you, that is from gossip and everything political that has been happening, including where Gachagua, former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, made a remark that those who went to Karen to visit under the call of Deputy President Kithure Kindiki and were given tokens of up to 50,000 shillings, that they will not be allowed to, if I quote him, that you should unfollow them because they are traitors. Clubs that will call them to perform in their joints people should leave those clubs and go to other clubs, and they are banned from performing in the community. This is because Gachagua says that they are traitors, and this sparked a lot of reaction, especially the AMCSK, which said that that is injustice to artists. So I don't know what you think about it. Is it right that if someone connects with the government as an artist, we should, leave them for others who are not? And also another question is, why was it musicians or artists who are already established? Why not, if it is supporting talent, why not pick upcoming talents for support? Why pick artists who are already established? So that is one thing that happened during the month of May. Also during the month of May, we had our activists go to Tanzania and they were deported back. And it has been a conversation that has been ongoing, and it's still ongoing, that Tanzania say that will not allow foreigners to come and disrupt our peace. And yesterday we had the legal fraternity of Tanzania saying that they will not allow. Tanzania is not like a toilet where you can just go in and come out. There needs to be consequences. And we had activists like Boniface Mwangi found tortured, or so as it looks. So that is those are just among the things that have been happening in the month of May. So we'll play a video for you to see a summary or a snippet of what has been happening during this month of May. And as we play that clip, we are having a discussion that I told you on mental health, the spirit of mental health, on the month of May, and we'll be joined by Mercy Kakai via Zoom. We are finding her, technology issues. So we are finding Mercy Kakai, a psychologist and founder, sparked conversation for that conversation on emotional intelligence at work. And it's coming up after this snippet of what has been happening in the month of May.
Our special segment with I, Michelle Wamboy, and today we are going to take a look back at the month of May. Just like any month, May was a month full of ups and downs, moments that had us glued to our screen. So buckle up as we rewind through the moments that made this month want to be remembered.
Kenya's 2027 race got louder and a whole more interesting. In one corner, MP Peter Selassie, bold, unpredictable, and powered by the people.
Fellow Kenyans, friends and patriots, today I stand before you with humility, courage, and great conviction to announce I, Honorable Peter Kalura Selassie, Member of Parliament from Mumias East constituency, officially declare my intentions to vie for the presidency of the Republic of Kenya in the year 2027 general election.
In the other, Dr. Fred Matiang'i, the former tough-talking CS with a track record and a vision for order. Their presidential bids kicked off in May, and the game is officially on. After 13 long years, the UEFA Champions League came back to Kenyan soil. Brought by Heineken, the trophy tour ignited passion, united rivals, and celebrated the beautiful game, football. This is history, legacy, and pride for Kenya. Shockwaves hit the Kenyan film industry in May. Some filmmakers linked to the BBC documentary, Blood in Parliament, were arrested by authorities. Critics called it an attack on press freedom, but the government called it a matter of national security. When politics heat up, sometimes shows fly. A show was thrown at President Ruto during a Migori rally. This sparked national-wide discussion on leadership and public dissent. Debates, memes, and a lot of questions followed. From sold-out concerts to collaborations, the bald main anthem hitmaker, Bien, kept on surprising Kenyans. He dropped soulful vibes, made shows, stopping performances, and reminded fans why he is one of Africa's most powerful voices. Whether it's solo or with Sauti Sol, Bien proves that he is not just an artist, he is a movement. May brought more than just rain. It brought heavy destruction. Heavy downpours swept across the country, flooding houses and roads. As the skies opened, Kenyans came together to help each other adapt to the climate change. Before Zoom, there was Skype, the app that connected families, powered jobs, interviews, and even made long-distance love possible, officially shut down this May after 22 years. Skype changed how the world talked, but as tech evolved, it struggled to keep up. Goodbye, Skype. Papa Jones doesn't just rap, he lives large. In May, Calligraph Jones broke the internet after unveiling his mansion, from marble floors to a private studio. The OG showed us what consistency, hustles, and bars can build. Respect the OG. Hip-hop pays if you move right. Kenyans, live along the world at large. Watch as cardinals gathered in Vatican to elect a new pope. While the world held its breath, Kenyans made the process flavorful with wild memes and online prophecies.
Chapel chimney has signalled white smoke at 5:08 this evening.
Hannah stepped out pregnant again, and Kenyan Twitter lit up. But Lupita Nyong'o stole the spotlight back home. She got all the flowers for slaying effortlessly. The Arsenal versus PSG game was in almost every football fan's conversation. Netizens were busy online making loud dares and football prophecies. Bahati promised to shave his hair if Arsenal lost. On Mother's Day, Kenyans poured love online and offline. The activities to celebrate this day melted hearts. Surprise gifts, home-cooked meals, and throwback pics of moms stood out. Weight loss, a very demanding journey. The buzz around Ozempic came after some celebrities showed off slimmer looks after revealing they had been using Ozempic, a slimming injection. Fans noticed the glow up, but not everyone clapped back. Debates sparked over body image, health, and what's real versus what's risky.
Let me tell you, Obedina, many things have been said.
And finally, Gachagua stays trending. From dancing with choirs to bold political statements, the former deputy president made sure Kenyans kept watching. He refuses to leave the spotlight.
Whether positive or negative, can only be undertaken with the full authority of the current president.
I'm saying not the whole of it. on your screen is a summary of everything that has been happening in the month of May. And something that really caught my eye is the shoe throwing incident that was in Migori. And if you look at history, shoe throwing incidences are a sign of outrage, or are a sign of outrage and anger towards the administration, the governing administration. And what we witnessed was really shocking, because it is something that is supposed to be seriously taken, especially by the intelligence. But what happened is that it was dismissed as an accident, where someone was trying to record the president and someone akagonga the shoe and it went flying towards the president. So that is something that also caught my eye, or caught my attention in the month of May. Another thing that caught my attention in the month of May is on the attack of journalists. That one I have mentioned also. And something else is on the current trend where people are using artificial ways of maintaining their body, or artificial ways of ensuring that they are fit. And this we witnessed with when it comes to Pretty Vichy. We have what is his name? We have a situation where people are using artificial ways or injecting themselves to have their body weight reduced. And this is something that, personally, from where I sit as a gym person, as a gym rat, I think it's something that we should also, I don't know how people take it, but it looks like it's not a good thing to someone's health. Activities like what I mentioned before on uniting people through sports is something that should be embraced. That is on the uniting the world through speed and strength, that will be happening on 31st May. That is something that should be embraced, especially when it comes to having a fit body and ensuring that you have good mental health. Encouraging people to go for artificial ways of maintaining their body is not something that should be encouraged at any way in life. And you should also look at statistics of those who have used natural remedies, where patience is key and having a good diet is also key, and how they have really managed to maintain their self and their state of mental health, how they are as people. It is something that should be embraced, or should be copied, or should be made public, or should be encouraged. But encouraging people to use other means, not something that should be encouraged. And also on the issue of the art and how we promote our artists as a country, it is something that I think we should also be given freedom to choose who we support and who not to support. That is when it comes to where the artists perform and where they don't perform. This is something that should not be predicted by our leaders or by those who are in authority. So those are just some things that happened during the month of May. And as I promised you earlier, that we are now ready to have an interview on mental health, that is emotional intelligence at work. And we will be joined by Mercy Kaikai, who is a psychologist and founder Sparked Conversation, that is coming to you live via Zoom. Mercy is joining us via Zoom, and from us here, we are live from Kenyatta University, that is KUTV in studio. That interview is coming in a bit. With emotional intelligence, and Mercy is joining us online. Mercy, how are you? Mercy, if you can hear me.
Hi, hello. Can you hear me?
How are you this morning?
I'm good, Sylvia.
We're so pleased to have you joining us right here on Biashara Tuesday, a show that brings different minds, the young and old, all on board for a conversation of empowering them, especially in their business endeavors or economically, and really fostering entrepreneurship spirit. And this morning we are having a very interesting discussion. Before we get into it, Mercy, kindly, I would like for you to introduce yourself.
Thank you again, Sylvia. My name is Mercy. I'm the lead psychologist and founder of Spark Conversations, a mental health space that is rooted in empathy, storytelling, and offering age-aligned therapy services. I also believe in normalizing mental health conversations that can help in creating spaces where people feel safe, heard, and supported.
Very interesting. From your experience as a mental health practitioner, how is this conversation taken, especially when it comes to the workplaces? Is it something that is seen as an essential thing, or something that people really despise?
Okay, so currently in our country today, I don't think emotional intelligence is something that people are practicing openly. Being able to share your emotions or controlling your emotions in the right time, or also, how can I say, being able to manage and understand. It's not something that everyone talks about in our workspace. It's not supported. Let me just say that, yeah.
So it's not supported. Maybe it's because someone may not understand what exactly it is. So how would you define, or how would you describe emotional intelligence, and why is it important, especially at workplaces?
Emotional intelligence is basically the ability to be able to recognize, understand, manage, and also how it influences your own emotion and that of other people. So it's basically it's being smart with your feelings. Yeah. So that is how I describe emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence also has like 5 components. There are 5 components of emotional intelligence, and that includes self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills.
So you've mentioned the 5 elements. Would you kindly go deeply into these 5 elements of emotional intelligence? Because it's not just mentioning that, self-awareness, and it's something that goes deep, I believe. So how would you define these 5 components, and how can we embrace it?
Okay, that's a very good question, Sylvia. With self-awareness as being the first component of emotional intelligence, it's basically getting to recognize your emotions, getting to know how you react, how different emotions or different thoughts affect you and affect your behavior also, or also how it affects your thought patterns. Self-regulation is being able to manage your emotions as they come about. Sometimes we get these impulsive emotions, and not being able to know how to manage it, it can be very disruptive to your day-to-day chores or work. And then when we come to talk about motivation, motivation is basically being driven to achieve something. Let's say let's put it in a more positive way, being more self-driven. That's what I'd say about motivation. And then we have empathy, being able to put yourself in another person's shoes. Let's say, for example, you're arguing with someone else, or you're trying to offer feedback to someone else in the workspace, and it feels like the other person is actually not getting you, and maybe they're getting angry. Being able to put yourself in their shoes and explaining, trying to understand how they're receiving the feedback from their end is also very important. The last one is social skills, being able to communicate effectively and respectfully. In the workspace also.
Is there a connection between emotional intelligence and intelligence quotient, like people who are smart, believed to be highly intelligent emotionally, and those who are not smart, believed not to be highly intelligent? Is there a relationship between EQ and IQ?
That's a very good question. I believe the other name for EI or it's EQ. It's basically emotionally quotient. So, can you please repeat your question again?
I'm asking if there is a relationship between emotional intelligence and the intelligence quotient. Like people are believed to be having high IQ, to be those people who are having higher rates or higher level of emotional intelligence as compared to people who are having low IQ.
I'd not say that there's a big difference, because emotional intelligence is something that you learn. It's a skill that you acquire. When we're talking about the IQ, I believe someone with high IQ can also lack emotional intelligence, and someone with low IQ can also have very high emotional intelligence. So it's just a learned skill that you practice over time.
Very interesting. Now, talking about learning, how well can someone be a student of this class of emotional intelligence? How is it learned?
Okay, so when we talk about learning about emotional intelligence, we're talking about, first of all, it's something that you practice. As I said earlier, it's something that you practice every day. It's something that just doesn't appear. When we are born, we are born with a bit of the emotional intelligence. But now the one thing you can do is practice it. And you can do this by do you receive feedback? You can ask for feedback from friends and relatives or anyone who's around you to get to know yourself better. You can reflect on yourself. That is practicing mindfulness, basically. Getting to understand, oh, this is how I react when I'm faced with a difficult situation. So what am I supposed to do in this instance? You can also do a lot of journaling. But the journaling helps with understanding your triggers. Let's say, for example, getting to understand what kind of communication, what kind of talk triggers my anger. It's also very important. Yeah, so emotional intelligence can be learned.
Something that can be learned based on having self-awareness of what triggers you, how best you can react to the triggers, and how well you can talk to others to avoid triggering them also in a way that will also trigger you. And if I understand right, that is what we are talking about.
Yeah.
Do you think there is this case of toxic work environments? Is there something like that? And if it is, how can we go about managing such environments?
Okay, so how do you know you're working in a toxic work environment? One, there is the constant micromanaging. And then we have poor communication, there's favoritism in the office space, there's lack of trust, there's no space for you to actually express yourself, really. So how are you able to cope with such an environment that is basically a toxic work environment? First of all, you have to learn how to set boundaries. Setting boundaries in the office space helps to limit over-functioning or emotional over investment. In that, let's say, for example, if people get to understand these are my boundaries are basically what protects you as a person from other people trying to harm you. It's like a fence. Yeah. And then we are building support system, having people in this space where they can actually help you deal with your emotions as they come, or support you when something is not okay in the workspace. Something else I'd also say is document your interaction. Sometimes it's okay to protect yourself. When you're documenting some kind of event that happened that was not favored towards you, or something that was wrong in the office space, document it. Something else is know when to exit. Let's say, for example, you're having an argument with someone, and you feel like this argument is basically not going anywhere, and you're going to stay here for a long time, and you're going to end up getting angry, and you're not going to be able to cater to your emotions. Walk away. Break away from the argument altogether.
Okay. And do you think sometimes our leaders or people in charge of the workplaces contribute to cases where we are having toxic environments? or is it just something that is based on the employees' relationship? And if it is about leaders, can anything be done differently, especially with leadership styles? How can things be done differently to create a more stable and healthy workplaces?
That's a very good question also. Imagine a space whereby your leaders in the workplace are more emotionally intelligent. That means they're able to solve conflict when it arises in a very intelligent way, and the conflicts get dispersed altogether. So an emotionally intelligent leader, or leaders in the workplace who have embraced mental health and have also embraced emotional intelligence in itself, are able to lead and create a ripple effect in the office, where if you're able to work in a space where there is no how can I say this? There's no stressors, they're able to reduce pressure in the workplace, like checking in with you. I believe like leaders in the workplace are the ones who can be able to create a ripple effect and ensure that the workplace is a place where everyone feels safe and embraced at the same time, and there's no space for creativity. So leaders are the backbone. Let me just say the backbone of creating the emotional intelligence in the workplace.
Creating a good work environment. Now, sometimes when someone is really self-aware and they tend to avoid conflicts, such a person may be termed to be weak, or sometimes being someone who chooses peace is perceived to be weakness. How can we address such situations, and why is it that behaving in that way you are termed as a weak person?
Okay, I'd not say that being emotionally intelligent is a sign of weakness, or being in a space where you're able to be vulnerable with your emotions is a sign of weakness. I'd say it's a sign of strength. Being able to respectfully share your thoughts and pass the information across the room and not having people judge you. I don't believe it's a sign of weakness at all. It's a sign of emotional intelligence, actually. This is a person we should be embracing more.
Do you think as a country we have done enough when it comes to awareness, when it comes to self-awareness journeys? That is what drives us to go to work, the motivation behind it, what triggers us. Generally, do you think we have done enough sensitization when it comes to embracing emotional intelligence? If not, what can we do different to ensure that that is really embraced?
What we can do is increase the amount of... Currently, Spark Conversations is working on offering employee assistance programs, and with the employee assistance programs that we are trying to bring in, one of the things we like to share with the people in the office space is emotional intelligence. We'd like to help them with workshops for us to be able to train them on how to practice emotional intelligence and how to grow it over time. As we said before, it's not something that just pops up. It's something that you learn with time. And with the fact that right now, after COVID, most people have started to actually embrace mental health in its own. And I believe where we are going as a country is embracing the EAP programs, embracing the trainings that come up, and helping the people in the office get to understand the importance of emotional intelligence, because it doesn't just help us in our workspace, it also helps us in our personal lives.
Currently, with the upcoming of technology, we have so many people stuck on their screens, and they think that they have a community around them because of having massive following, massive comment sections that are active with comments streaming in every now and then. Most people think that they have a community around them. So, and how can how does that influence the level of emotional intelligence, especially among the youths? Because as we have seen in the recent days, we have had, especially the Gen Zs, who will go to work and then go for lunch and then send their resignation letter using an Uber because they think maybe the work environment is not conducive for them. The influence on social media that, you cannot, your boss cannot do this for you. So how do you think social media is affecting our levels of emotional intelligence?
Okay, so that's a very good question also. In social media, let's talk about when it comes to self-awareness, that is first. Recognizing how scrolling affects your mood. Because sometimes when you're just there scrolling, there are few things you'd see, there are few things that will trigger you. Noticing that if you're posting from a place of insecurity, of confidence, is also very important when it comes to understanding your self-awareness. When we're talking also about self-regulation as the other component, I'm going to talk in terms of that. Self-regulation, thinking before you comment or post in anger. That shows a level of emotional intelligence, in that it shows you're able to manage your emotions. Are you able to manage your emotions when you're on social media? Like also, for example, as you said, sending a resignation through just texting a resignation letter, not actually talking about it with your bosses. That shows that there is some level of self-regulation that is missing. Understanding others' perspective behind the post and not just judging, not being immediate to judging, and actually just trying to understand when they were posting this, was it from a point of vulnerability? What type of compassion should I offer this person? That is also something else we can talk about. Social skills, being how can we like, we talked about communicating respectfully and effectively. When we're in the social media, I've noticed even when you go to TikTok and you've posted something and someone doesn't like what you posted, they make very nasty comments that I don't believe they understand that it can actually affect the other person and it can affect them in a very negative way. So this shows that that person is not empathetic to start with. Yeah. So that is basically what I can share for that.
Okay. Now, there is this perspective. There are people who believe that some people only understand through violence. I don't know if you've come across such sentiments, that this one will only understand through violence. And it's majorly the leading cause of violence, maybe at workplaces, when someone says, wacha nitamwendea, ananichezea, and it comes out with anger, and then someone responds in a very aggressive way. And most of the time you get that when someone responds in an aggressive way, they have a positive feedback. And it also happens when it comes to homes, the leading cause of domestic violence. When someone says that this person only responds to violence. So what do you think is the major cause of such thought, or that perspective, where someone thinks that people only react to violence, and that is how they bring positive reactions?
Okay. That's also a really another interesting question. So let's say violence. Violence comes from not being able to understand what emotional intelligence is in the first place. Imagine a person who doesn't know anything about emotional intelligence. And this person doesn't know how to regulate their emotions, doesn't know the importance of being self-aware, understanding where all these emotions are coming from. This person doesn't know the importance of empathy, does not understand that empathy is something that is very important. Understanding that even with the violence, how is this other person going to feel if I hit them? How is this other person is going to feel when I emotionally abuse them or say something that is something ugly to them? Yeah. So I'd say like there's lack of emotional intelligence there, and most people are not well taught or aware that it is also present. Yeah. This person doesn't even practice social skills, doesn't understand. There's a part where you need to talk to the other person respectfully if you want to get a message across. So I'd say it's basically the lack of emotional intelligence. That is
Okay.
creating the
Now, in
violence.
our workplaces, also just slightly related to coming out aggressively. We have different backgrounds, that is from ethnic groups, the regions we come from. And this is a case sometime back when in class, or let's talk about a classroom perspective. There is a lady teacher who is teaching maybe a school, not to be biased, but maybe a school in the northeastern region, or maybe a school in the regions where they perceive female not to be having voices. So we have already a challenge of that is cultural norms, where we see that teacher or a certain gender is perceived to be having a stronger voice than the other gender. So in such cases where there is cultural diversity and different beliefs when it comes to ways of communication, it leads to creating tensions on how people interact at workplaces. How best can we address such a challenge?
Okay, so basically when we talk about culture, we are referring to shared beliefs, values, customs, and behaviors. Yeah, we also have to understand, like, in Kenya here currently, we come from different tribes. Different tribes have different beliefs, different values, different customs, and behaviors. When we're talking about behaviors, and that is when we're talking about, as a woman, not being heard or not feeling like the other person is actually listening to what they're trying to say, or even they're not even trying altogether. This is something we as a nation, I believe this change coming, and change is coming very soon. And we are seeing that, like, for example, there's a tribe that believes in training women to give them, to make them more responsible, to make them hear what their husband is actually trying to say. So these are things that with proper psychoeducation can be removed from the society. These are things that are not going to be here for too long, because believe me, change is coming. Let me just say that.
But it's still something that is really a challenge. Do you believe that it is a major challenge of having emotional intelligence practiced at workplaces?
Yeah, it is a challenge. Let me say it is a challenge as of now in our country. But anyway, emotional intelligence, EAP, let's say, as I talked about the employee assistant programs, we are planning on doing. We are not planning on doing the kind of employee assistant programs that are reactive. We are planning on being more proactive. We're planning to walk that journey with the people in the offices, and we're not going to look at this person as a single entity or as an employee. We want to look at this person as a whole human being. Because let's say, for example, we have John. John is a manager at work. John is a father. John is a brother. How is John with friends? So we want to look at the person as a whole. If we're able to change that and offer this psychoeducation and this training, it can also reflect, and the ripple effect will definitely be there, even in their personal lives also.
Now, as we round this up, what do you think needs to be done differently to create a more safe place at work? And this is not just in offices, even for those who are selling by the roadside, those who are hawking, those who are in matatus. You know, all these places are workplaces. How different what can we do differently to ensure that there are safe places at work, where someone anticipates anticipates their work, not a situation where someone thinks about job and they're like, what, it is morning again. How can we make our workplaces safe?
Okay, so let me say, like, right now in our country, there's a lot of stigma around mental health. And as much as people are trying to embrace it, the stigma is still there. And it's gonna take us time for us to achieve a nation of where everyone is freely to talk about mental health and they're not judged at any point. In order for us to create safe working environments and places where people feel safe, generally it's places where people feel safe in the workplace, we need to be able to psychoeducate. I'd just say psychoeducate, more communication, more action in the leader's part, or more action on the therapist's part, more action on the people's part who are actually working in these spaces. So in order for us to create safe spaces, we all need to work together as a team and be more open-minded.
Being more open-minded. That is very well said. Now, Kakai, we are bringing this to an end. I would like for you to give us any last remarks that you have for our viewers at home. Any advice that you could give, and this will serve as the last take.
Okay, so what I'd say is I'm really thankful for this opportunity, Sylvia, again. I believe with mental health, it's something we can all embrace. It's something we can all speak freely of. It's something we can talk about. So let us be more open. Let us be more open to talking about it and sharing and psychoeducating on the part of the therapist and the mental health practitioners. And also for the rest of everyone else out there, be more open-minded. Just be more open-minded to learning and embracing new possibilities to create a space where you're able to grow. So that's what I'd say.
Thank you so much for making time for us this morning. That is Mercy Kakai, who is a psychologist and founder, Sparked Conversation. That is Mercy Kakai. And apologies, Mercy, for mentioning your name wrongly. It is Mercy Mukai. Thank you so much for making time for us this morning. A conversation on emotional intelligence at workplaces. And just as she has said, it is something that needs to be practiced, not something that you were born with. The fact that you have high IQ does not mean that you are emotionally intelligent. Thank you so much, Mercy.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Now, coming up next is a conversation on Sunrise Virtual School. That is a school that embraces virtual learning. It is fully virtual learning, not what we are used to, where children wake up very early in the morning. I get pissed so much when coming to work at 6 a.m. and you are on a matatu with a child who is probably in PP1 or PP2. And you're like, what is this child going to do in school this early with this cold? Probably it's raining. And this is a new development, a virtual model of learning. And we will be joined by Benedict Nyokabi, who is an educational director at Sunrise Virtual School. That discussion is coming up next after the break.
They are powerful and influential. They make decisions in politics, education, finance, agriculture, health, sports, and all aspects of human life. But the impact of their decisions falls on you, the common citizen. KUTV Primetime News Thursday. We ask bold questions and pursue answers to the core to bring you closer to the story. We couldn't have it any other way. Join me, Auma Evans, as I raise matters of social concern to raise your voice from the background to the foreground.
Hi, my name is Stella Tioi.
Jina langu naitwa Okemwa Mwokoa James.
This is Mandela Gaya.
Ugonjwa ulipokuja ulichukua siku 3 ukaniweka in coma. 20 wamezikwa, 2 ndio wako hai.
I don't even know how it feels to see.
I feel like I cannot express myself well the way somebody who can walk can actually express themselves.
Ilichukua muda mwingi mrefu tena mpana ili kuikubali kwamba mimi siwezi tembea tena.
I've come to actually accept myself.
Ukijaribu kumsimamisha mtu mwambie tafadhali nionyeshe njia.
They find it quite strange talking to you.
We should just make schools integrated,
Inclusive setups.
by providing the right facilities.
na uso wa jamii. Kupanda shuka, akawa tuzo. Ukakamavu wake, ukatii na kumfanya mwenye bidii. Kwa machozi na makeke, akabaini jinsi ya kuwini. Huyu ni mwanamke ngangari kwa jinsi alivyo ng'ari. Mimi ni mwanamke mwake. Usikose kutazama kipindi cha mwanamke mwake, nami Caroline Kimwele. Just rotten milk? Why do humans need sharks to survive? How did a 12-year-old boy from Africa invent modern vanilla farming? How do you deliver medicine to a chimpanzee? Can poop be useful? How can you save the planet by reducing air pollution? To help us answer these questions, we are inviting some wonderful guests from the world of science. They will enlighten you, make you hungry for knowledge, oxygenate your brain, and make your ideas flow. This is Engine Season 3. Let's go!
Maelfu na maelfu ya wahamiaji wakiwa na watoto kutoka nchi za Amerika ya Kati wanaendelea kuwasili kwenye mpaka kati ya Marekani na Mexico.
Folks, I'm going. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Ni habari kutoka pembe zote duniani.
Pepo pasi vuguvugu. Pepo pani idea.
Tazidi ananyonya, hanyonyi vizuri, anakuwa hayuko comfortable.
Jeshi la Jamhuri ya Kidemokrasia ya Kongo linapambana na waasi wa ADF.
Kwa sasa wanatoa wito kwa mashirika, makampuni na vile vituo vya uchukuzi.
Mambo mengi yatakwenda kama yalivyopangwa.
Hapa ni kuna mmoja wa viongozi wa chama cha wavuvi katika eneo hili.
Zaidi tunajaribu kuwapa chanjo ili ina boost ama inanyanyua kinga ya mwili, hiyo inaenda kupelekea kupambana na virusi.
Ni duniani leo, Jumatatu mpaka Ijumaa, moja kwa moja kutoka VOA Swahili, Washington DC.
Access to knowledge. Solution to unanswered questions.
Guidelines to pursuing your rights and repossessing your property, intellectual or material.
This and more only on Law Matters.
Tunachimba hadi mizizi kukuletea yanayojiri.
So mimi naomba tu serikali yetu ya Mungu, jibarikiwe na Mungu, iweze kuteremsha bei ya mafuta.
Yanayokukumba tuna maizi, tunakutetea sisiri. Kwa kweli ni speciali tukikupambia makala ya mwanamke mwake. Utasema hupendi mizizi ya habari. Nami Caroline.
Welcome back. Now, I have been talking about this virtual school learning, and just before we get into that conversation, before we went for the break, we had a conversation on mental health, that is emotional intelligence at workplaces, with Masi Mukai, a very interesting discussion where we have learned a lot. So if you missed that bit of this Biashara Tuesday show on the launch today, you can wait. This virtual interview, virtual learning interview Isha, and then you can go back and check that out. So now that we are here, I'm joined by Benedict Nyokabi. Thank you so much for making time for us this morning. We're so pleased to have you this morning on this very exciting conversation on virtual schooling. So before we set this rolling, I would kindly ask you to give us a brief introduction about yourself.
So I'm Benedict, Nyokabi. I'm the co-founder and education director at Sunrise Virtual School. And I am a KU alumnus, actually. I was here in between 2007 to 2011. I don't know whether you guys were born yet.
Really?
Yes. And, well, I am an educator and a great advocate for accessible education for all. I am a wife and a mom of 3 kids, and I am also a worship minister. Yeah.
You've mentioned 2007 to 2011. Now, that is a period when we didn't have so much of online learning and all that. So how was your transition from normal classroom to now the virtual schooling?
Okay, so let me speak to when we were in school at campus. By then, they were just starting to introduce virtual homeworks, virtual notes, and so on and so forth. We found it very hard. Reason being, first of all, there was no adequate training, so you just found yourself in a very strange space. But when it comes to Sunrise, we transitioned right after COVID. What happened was during COVID, we were forced to go completely virtual. And then when we did a survey after that, it was giving us better learner output. And then it also opened up the borders for us. Before, we would just cover learners within Nairobi. Now, with the virtual learning, we are able to cover learners in over 30 nations. So that's basically how we transitioned. It was not, of course, an easy transition. There has been quite a number of trainings that we've had to do, because when teachers go to school, they are trained to teach in a physical setup most of the time. So when they come to work, we definitely have to train them on how to deliver in a virtual space. Yeah, but that we do over and over. During the holidays, we take a break, we get to do training and retraining, because again, in the virtual space, things keep changing. Today it is this that applies, tomorrow it's another different thing that has come up. So we have to keep abreast with everything.
Very interesting. Now, it is a situation where you keep retooling every now and then.
Yes.
Now, when it comes to the virtual learning, you've mentioned of COVID-19 that required everything to go virtual.
Yes.
What other things inspired the transition from the physical learning to the virtual schooling?
Okay, the other thing, allow me to take this in 3 parts: the parent angle, the learner angle, and also the workspace. The needs of the 21st century parent have changed. Before, you would have your mom go to work in the morning and then come back in the evening probably, or have your dad go to work in the morning, come back in the evening, the same local space. But now what is happening is that the needs of the 21st century parent have changed, because most parents are either working from home or they are traveling parents. So what happens to me if I am a traveling parent and I have 3 children, just like I have said? I don't want to miss out on their growth. So for the virtual schooling space, it tackles the need of, I can actually wake up today and travel with my daughter and they will not miss out on school. If I get transferred, for example, my child, I don't have to go through the trouble of looking for a school for my child. So that's the parent side. Then number 2, the learner side. The learners we have in class right now, we like to call them the digital natives, because these guys, the first thing they see is a phone, is a screen. I remember playing music for my son when he was in my tummy. So these guys interact with the digital space from even before birth. So this is their life. This is all they know. So if you do not curate education around their way of life, you definitely are losing them. And then the workspace. Right now, most of the workspaces are going virtual. And
How the future world of work looks like is we will come together in a virtual space, people from different nationalities get to sit down in a virtual boardroom, tackle problems, and so on and so forth. The other aspect of the future world of work is what we call the gigs, where we just get to measure what you need to do and then we let you go and have you handle that. So what do we need to do as educators to ensure that the learners that we have in class are prepared for this particular space? The virtual world of learning teaches the child to be self-disciplined, number one, because in the virtual world of work, definitely nobody is looking over your shoulder to get to check, have you done your task? Have you done this and this? The number two aspect is that it's a world of work that is full of different nationalities, people situated in different spaces, but coming together to offer a solution. So this is mimicked in the virtual class as well. And then the other aspect is definitely the need of doing research and virtually so, and making presentations virtually as well. So these are some of the things that make Sunrise run as it does. The desire to prepare the learner to fit in into the future world of work, and also to tackle the needs of the learner, and also of the world of work, and also of the parent that is currently taking children to school right now.
That is quite a motivation, a very huge one. Now, there is a transition. For those who are born right now, they're digital natives, yes.
Yeah.
And there is the aspect of interaction. You know, for a normal classroom, you get to get immediate feedback. For a child, as a teacher, as you walk around, you get to get immediate feedback. And it's easier to monitor students' engagement, if they're concentrating, if they are zoned out.
Yeah.
So how does that happen in this case when a child is looking at a screen?
Okay. A child, first of all, is not looking at a screen only. The classes are live and interactive. So the classmates are logging in from whichever part of the world they are in, and the teacher is logging in from our teaching center. And then our rule number one is the cameras must be on always, so that we get to interact with the learners' facial expressions. That is one of the aspects that get to communicate to the teacher, either in a physical class or in a virtual classroom. Then number two, there are of course chat spaces in our portal where the learner is able to actually chat and speak to the teacher whenever they need to. Then number two, we do not take a teacher-centered approach. We normally take a very learner-centered approach. Let's say, for example, tomorrow we are covering the Table Mountains. I will come in as the geography teacher and I will tell you tomorrow we are covering the Table Mountains. So what do you get to do? You get to do your research. Then tomorrow when you come back to class, we are seated on a virtual round table and we get to give each other information. This is what I found out. This is what I found out. This is what I found out. Then the teacher gets to guide us, and then they post notes on the dashboard, and then the learners get to go through the notes later on. So it's not a dead space. It's a space that is very, very, very interactive actually. Yeah.
What happens to the very young learners who probably are unable to do the typing and the reading during the classes?
Okay, so when you come in as a young learner, we take in from 5 years. So when you come in as a young learner, just like physical school where we get to teach you from writing and all of these basics that you need to learn, in the virtual space, we start out with you writing by hand. I keep on saying, as much as we are moving to the digital space, handwriting is definitely a skill that we are going to need later on in life. So one of the things we do is train you. You write by hand, then you scan, and then you send the information back to the teacher. Then what we do at this particular space is send you more of pictures, more of videos, more of things that you get to see and learn. So we incorporate the digital side and we also incorporate the physical side. By the way, not only for the young learners, even for the older ones, they also get to write by hand.
Okay.
Yes.
So how do you measure the effectiveness of this mode of learning?
Okay. So there's definitely evaluation, just like any other school. So evaluation happens, of course, from the time you join us. We get to do a week-long evaluation to get to understand who you really are. How much are you able to understand? And then we curate a personalized journey for you. Then after that, we definitely have examinations. There's, of course, half-term examinations just like any other school, end of term examinations, and of course international exams at year 6, year 9, and year 11. So of course there's a way of checking whether the learner is understanding, and of course there's feedback during a class-to-class basis, and the learners also get to send in notes as well, so that you can get to check and see how far they are at. Yes.
Now, that is very well said. Let's talk about how parents take it. There are those who embrace it, and there are those who don't embrace it. And all of them have their reasons. Now let's talk about this category of parents who really think that this is something that is maybe not going to be possible. What are some of the hindrances or blockage that you face when advancing to such parents? What do they talk about as reasons why they are reluctant to embracing this mode of learning?
Okay. The larger group of parents that we have right now went through the brick and mortar school, and of course they know that as the only way of schooling. So we have two types of parents: the ones who've already had interacted with the virtual schooling before, or maybe traditional homeschooling where learners get to study from home. These ones are an easy plug and play. But then, let's say for example, a parent calls me from Bungoma. It's the first time they are hearing about virtual schooling. So the questions is normally, iyo kweli ni shule? That's normally the first question. So basically for this kind of a parent, what we do is take them step by step, just the same way you would teach 1 + 1 to a child. And then we get to give test classes once in a while, so that the learner on the other end is able to get to test and see how this virtual schooling works, and also the parent is able to get to see, oh, for sure, learning is happening. The most interesting thing is that these ones that come in asking, Bernadette, does it really work, are the ones who become our greatest ambassadors. Yes.
The most satisfied clients.
Oh, let me tell you, they go all out.
Okay. Now there's this generation is perceived to be a generation, an individualistic generation, where it's all about me. And that's because they have created a community around social media. So someone thinks they have maybe 70,000 friends because they have 70,000 followers. And it breaches the community aspect. And now most relationships are normally created from childhood. You'd hear someone say that this is my best friend, we've been friends since I was in primary school.
Yes.
And they create these bonds. If it's boys, they create this boys group. And it goes to creating chamas and all that. So when it comes to this type of schooling, where it is connecting 30 countries, maybe from Zimbabwe you have one student, from maybe 2 students in Kenya, where one is in Mombasa, another one is in Kisumu. So how do you foster the community aspect of it, the social aspect of it, where someone feels like I have a friend, a real friend? How does that happen?
Very good question, and it's actually part of our FAQs. It's frequently asked. In fact, after how do you deliver the curriculum, the next question is how do you handle the social aspect of the learner? Number one, I think it's a fallacy for us to think that we have to come together every day for us to create a bond. If, let's say, for example, where I went to school, in primary school, the people that I interacted with are people from my village, mostly. But then my daughter, she studies at Sunrise. My daughter has, just the other day she was telling me, I have a friend from Yemen. and this is what she likes, this is what she does over the weekend, and so on and so forth. So what we do to ensure that these learners are not only meeting during learning, we incorporate quite a number of social activities during the week. They come in the form of clubs. They come in the form of what we call the DEAR program, Drop Everything and Read, where we get to read books and critique them. Then they come in the form of thematic assemblies. Our assemblies are not empty. They are full of information. They are full of current affairs. They are full of things like sports news and so on and so forth. Then normally what happens is we create a community around you. If you are in Mombasa, for example, we create a community of learners in Mombasa. So you guys get to meet as learners in Mombasa. The learners in Nairobi get to meet quite often. They are lucky because this is a Nairobi baby. So they get to meet on Fridays, every Friday for sports. But then once in a while, at the end of the half term, we get to meet as a community, Sunrise community. This one has seen learners fly in all the way from other countries as well to just come in. And, you know, they get to create quite an interesting community around them locally and also from other learners out there. And then there's something that we normally call the hangout sessions. The hangout sessions is basically us letting down our hair, forgetting about the serious stuff of a class, and getting to know each other a little bit better. In this particular space, if you have a pet, you bring them on, let's get to meet them. What is their name? Do you have a baby brother? How does Dubai look like today? And so on and so forth. So we create spaces where they get to converse outside of a class setting.
I love the fact that they get to meet, maybe if it's once or twice a year, they all come together and meet. So there's also the health aspect, where too much screen time leads to, health problems. How do you regulate this, especially now that classes are normal time best from 8 to 3 p.m. in the afternoon? So how do you handle the possible challenge of having health complications?
So normally what we do is we make the lessons very short and very interactive. And then I tend to say that screen time without a purpose, that's that leads to doom scrolling and the likes, and that's what leads to mental health issues. But screen time with a purpose, if we are gathered here for a specific purpose for the next 30 minutes, a specific purpose that's going to build us, that's going to grow us, that's going to stretch our minds, that's actually a healthy space for us. So what we normally do is ensure the classes are short, and then we ensure that we have breaks in between. And then in between the breaks, like now during the lunch hour, we normally train the parent on what to do. You need to have your child outside there, you need to have your child have lunch, you need to have your child doing this and this and this. But as the learners grow older, you do not need to get into these spaces, because by that time, they're already disciplined, they know how to run their day.
Very interesting. Now let's talk about the expense of this type of learning, because if I think about it, practicals are done at home. And there is also the fee aspect and all that. So how affordable is this mode of learning?
It's actually way more affordable than the brick and mortar
Really?
school. Yeah, because you see, with virtual learning, it eliminates the aspect of having to build, having to get school buses and all of that capital expenses. So you've talked about the practical aspect. We use virtual labs. So these particular virtual labs, we just simulate, so the learner is able to follow through. But then for the learners within Nairobi chapter, they get to enjoy our physical labs once in a while. So the parent does not need to buy any substances, by the way. So we are able to show that in a virtual setting. I can say for sure, if you compare our fees against any other Cambridge school, we are at 1/3% of what they charge. And then remember, you're not paying for food, you're not paying for transport and all of that. And on top of it, by the way, the learners don't have to wait for school buses at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. Yeah.
So So it's quite cheaper.
Yes.
So what makes Sunrise Virtual School stand out from other schools or other modes of learning?
I'd say Sunrise Virtual School, number one, we prepare the learner to fit in into the future world of work in a space that is very relevant to them. Like I said, digital natives understand gadgets. They understand simulation in terms of labs. They actually get to understand learning better from such a perspective. Then number two, of course, with over 30 nations on board, if you go to an international school right now in Nairobi, we may be different learners from different nationalities, but we are in the same environment. Our experiences are the same. But now for Sunrise, you have learners in different nations. So if somebody is in Harare, they definitely are giving you a different experience of what's happening on a day-to-day basis, as opposed to when I am from Zimbabwe, but we are learning in the same school. Then another thing is, of course, convenience. Definitely the learner doesn't have to wake up so early to come to school. School goes to them. Then the aspect of travel, like I said, the needs of the 21st century parent have changed. So of course, the parent is able to travel with the child in case there is transfer, in case you've been transferred from work, you don't need to look for another school, and so on and so forth. Yeah, I could go on and on.
As we bring this home,
Yeah.
please mention to us a few advantages of choosing Sunrise Virtual School and how someone can access it if someone wants to be part of it.
Okay. So advantages of choosing Sunrise Virtual School over any other school is definitely, number one, we take a learner-centered approach. So when we are teaching the learner, we are not teaching the learner as a group. We are teaching the learner as an individual. And that's why I said when we start off from an evaluation where we get to learn how the learner operates, and then we curate a very personalized journey for them. Then number two, our class ratio is 1:15. So of course you can tell that the teacher is able to concentrate on each and every learner. Then each and every learner gets to be covered by different experts in different fields. So if we tell you this is a physics teacher, it's definitely a physics teacher, qualified and post-trained by us on how to handle virtual schooling. Then definitely when it comes to our parents' community, you get to also get a community around you that gets to tell you this is how I've operated since we were in year 4, now we are in year 9, and so on and so forth. Then most virtual schools don't incorporate the physical aspect. And the physical aspect, I mean the aspect of sporting, the aspect of mini meetups, the aspect of how we get to do cultural days and so on and so forth. So definitely Sunrise gets to cover that because we believe in holistic approach of teaching. Then the other bit is definitely affordability. And like I said, our charges are a third of what the rest normally charge. Yeah.
Okay, so how do we get to reach you?
So you can reach us via our phone number 0704 007 008 or 0706 007 008 or our website. Yeah.
Very interesting. Now, any last word for our viewer back at home?
I'd say it is very good as things are changing and as the world is moving. It is also very good for the parent at home to get to come out here and research and get to see what's happening in the education sector. Even as you do research on your businesses, as you do research on your places of work, it is very, very important for you to get to check where is the world heading to in terms of education, and which world best practices are happening right now. If my child, because remember we are preparing global citizens, not just people to fit in Nairobi, by the way. So if my child ended up in a place like the UK, would they fit in because they've been prepared well enough, just like Alana in UK right now? So it is good for us to get to get out there, get to dig out information, and get to check out who are these service providers that are giving out the best that my child can get to have. Yes.
Thank you so much for making time for us this morning.
Thank you.
That has been very interesting. Now, the world is shifting to a digital space, and it's high time that we all should consider ways of embracing technology. They say if you don't embrace it, it will embrace you. If you don't take it, it will take you. So if you don't be part of it, it will outshine you, and you'll end up regretting in the later days. So that has been on the launch discussion with our guest here in studio. That is Benedict Nyokabi, who is Education Director at Sunrise Virtual School. Now, coming up next is newspaper review. Stay tuned for that.
They are powerful and influential. They make decisions in politics, education, finance, agriculture, health, sports, and all aspects of human life. But the impact of their decisions falls on you, the common citizen. KUTV Primetime News Thursday. We ask bold questions and pursue answers to the core to bring you closer to the story. We couldn't have it any other way. Join me, Auma Evans, as I raise matters of social concern to raise your voice from the background to the foreground.
Hi, my name is Stella Tioi.
Jina langu naitwa Okemwa Mukwa James.
This is Mandela Gaya.
Ugonjwa ulipokuja ulichukua siku 3 ukaniweka in coma. 20 wamezikwa, 2 ndio wako hai.
I don't even know how it feels to see.
I feel like I cannot express myself well the way somebody who can walk can actually express themselves.
Ilichukua muda mwingi mrefu tena mpana ili kuikubali kwamba mimi siwezi tembea tena.
I've come to actually accept myself.
Ukijaribu kumsimamisha mtu umwambie tafadhali nionyeshe njia.
They find it quite strange talking to you.
We should just make schools integrated,
inclusive setups,
by providing the right facilities.
Ni nguzo na uso wa jamii. Kupanda shuka, akawa tuzo. Ukakamavu wake, ukatii na kumfanya mwenye bidii. Kwa machozi na makeke, akabaini jinsi ya kuwini. Huyu ni mwanamke ngangari, kwa jinsi alivyo ng'ari-ng'ari. Mimi ni mwanamke mwake. Usikose kutazama kipindi cha mwanamke mwake, nami Caroline Kimweli.
Where we ask the coolest questions in science. Let's go! Is yogurt really just rotten milk? Why do humans need sharks to survive? How did a 12-year-old boy from Africa invent modern vanilla farming? How do you deliver medicine to a chimpanzee? Can poop be useful? How can you save the planet by reducing air pollution? To help us answer these questions, we are inviting some wonderful guests from the world of science. They will enlighten you, make you hungry for knowledge, oxygenate your brain, and make your ideas flow. This is Engine Season 3. Let's go!
Maelfu ya wahamiaji wakiwa na watoto kutoka nchi za Amerika ya Kati wanaendelea kuwasili kwenye mpaka kati ya Marekani na Mexico.
The folks are going. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Ni habari kutoka pembe zote duniani.
Pepo pasi vuguvugu, pepo pani idea.
Sazidi ananyonya, hanyonyi vizuri, anakuwa hayuko comfortable.
Jeshi la Jamhuri ya Kidemokrasia ya Kongo linapambana na waasi wa ADF.
Kwa sasa wanatoa wito kwa mashirika, makampuni na vile vituo vya uchukuzi.
Mambo mengi yatakwenda kama yalivyopangwa.
Hapa ni kuna mmoja wa viongozi wa chama cha wavuvi katika eneo hili.
Zaidi tunajaribu kuwapa chanjo ili ina boost ama inanyanyua kinga ya mwili, hiyo inaenda kupelekea kupambana na virusi.
Ni duniani leo, Jumatatu mpaka Ijumaa, moja kwa moja kutoka VOA Swahili, Washington DC.
Access to knowledge. Solution to unanswered questions.
Guidelines to pursuing your rights and repossessing your property, intellectual or material.
This and more only on Law Matters.
Tunachimba hadi mizizi kukuletea yanayojiri.
So mimi naomba tu serikali yetu ya Mungu, ibarikiwe na Mungu, iweze kuteremsha bei ya mafuta.
Yanayokukumba tuna maizi, tunakutetea sisiri. Ukweli ni speciali tukikupambia makala ya mwanamke mwake. Utasema hupendi mizizi ya habari. Nami Caroline Kimani.
Back. This is Biashara Tuesday. We are just done with two interesting discussions. That is on emotional intelligence at work. We're also done with virtual schooling, what needs to be done and what needs not to be done, how we can embrace technology in our education sector. And right now, it is time for the State of the Nation. This is the newspaper review, where we look at headlines that are in our country. That is the headlines that have hit the country yesterday, today, and what is unfolding in the country, both in politics and business, social issues. And in studio today, I'm joined by Dennis Kimani. Thank you so much for making time for us this morning. And also Ojwang Mariam, right here on studio. I'll begin with you, Kimani. How are you this morning?
I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How has your engagement been like from the last time we saw each other?
It's been a while since I saw you, but it's okay. We have been pushing. We are still doing something for this country, because we are seeing left, right, center, even the politicians themselves, they are not safe. So we are happy to be here in the morning to articulate issues. Yeah.
To get the record set right.
Yes.
Now, if I look at the headlines, most of them are reading almost the same thing.
Yeah.
If we look at the Daily Nation is having the biggest headline as state terror. And this is talking about, even with no action taken against rogue security agents blamed for killing dozens of protesters during last June's Gen Z protest, there are growing concerns that a brutal crackdown on government critics has escalated. The latest victim of the state-sanctioned abduction is Juja Member of Parliament George Koimburi. Police claim he staged, managed his attack. And if we look at other papers also talking about the same thing, that is the Standard this morning. It's talking about sliding into anarchy. still talking about the same story of Juja Member of Parliament George Koimburi. And the photo they are having right there is so disturbing. And the police are saying that this is a stage managed, that this guy really abducted himself. And if we look at other papers, most of them are speaking of the same story, that is on the abduction. So Ojuang, how are you this morning?
I'm very well.
We want to get into the discussion of Standard as saying state terror, and not Standard, the Daily Nation is saying state terror. So let me begin with you, Kimani.
Yeah.
Is this something, I think we are past asking the question if it's something that we should be concerned about, because we are concerned about it. But now the question is, why is it that nothing is done about it?
We have nothing to cry about. Koibori can suffer as much as he can suffer, because June 25th they told him to vote no. He voted yes. Ini kiboko ya Gen Z. Unaget? Because we cannot be crying left, right and center. We told them that this government is rogue.
Are you sure he voted yes?
I'm not sure, but he was that part. The only people who voted no is Babu Wino and Didi Nyoro.
No. There was quite a number, almost 100 and something members of parliament who voted no for that.
Maybe
and
we can get the real data, but I feel Koimburi voted yes. The same with Kasipul MP. Those are people who voted yes.
So according to you, it is okay for such inhuman acts to happen to them because they voted in favor of finance bill?
I'm not saying it's okay to hurt somebody, but you see, even Gen Zs are people. They are children of people. They were hurt. They were shot dead, headshot on the street. What we can say is that the police are doing things upside down. We don't feel that this time, that's why we have the courts. If anybody is at the wrong, they're supposed to be taken to court. They're not supposed to be found in farms, hurt. So this morning, this thing is a very, very sad thing to see, even for the children who are coming, and even for the geopolitics, because Kenyan is not showing a good picture even to African countries. When we were campaigning for Raila Odinga, we saw that even Besigye was abducted in Kenya. I don't know why we are going the way of, and that's why in this newspaper you're saying Ruto has turned to Moi's style of abduction, enforced disappearances, and even killing people. Because now, last week we saw two priests, they were found dead in the same manner. So nobody is safe in Kenya. Yeah.
So you think it is something that, but you've mentioned something that I want us to make clear, that it is not clear if it is the president who is really doing the abductions, because according to the state, this is something that is not, that they're not aware of. And the police also say that they are not part of this. It is stage managed, and this guy really abducted himself and tortured himself, and conversations about how power plays and looking for relevance. Now, John, from where you sit, this is a bad trend. From the look of it, it's not really a question that we should be asking if it is good or bad, but it is a bad trend. But why do you think our police force are not doing anything about it?
First of all, for purpose of clarification, after the second reading of Finance Bill 2024, Honorable George Kombori voted no for the Finance Bill 2024. And he was among the few MPs who did that in Mount Kenya. Even if he voted yes, he was not supposed to be tortured. He was not supposed to be abducted. If we keep calling on the government to change, then it is not changing so that we can continue doing the same things they are doing. We must be ready for change. And change should happen in accordance with the Constitution. I once told you that even if I am a cop today, I cannot arrest you without telling you where you are being arrested, without giving you a chance not to speak. You have a right to be represented by an attorney. But these things are not happening, even for people who are in public office, like Juja MP. There were times that Kenyans were so angry, including now, that they wished death even on sons of politicians who had died in road accidents after being intoxicated and all that. But we don't fight so that we can kill these people. We fight for a better community. We fight for a better country. We fight for a better society. A better society means we are tolerant. I'm able to live with you. I'm able to live with you. I'm able to live with everyone else. That is why we have a prison. Ndio kuwe na kitu inaitwa kurekebisha tabia, kisheria na haki. Huku kuuliwa kwa watu kama wabunge kuna set precedent mbaya sana. It is in President Ruto's era when a CDF sitting in power died on a chopper. It was in President Ruto's era when a whole MP, Charles Songondowere, was dropped dead in Nairobi's CBD, the Kenya's capital. Na vile Kenya iko na jina huko nje. You interact with people from other nations and they call Kenya capital city of Africa. It is in capital city of Africa that these things are happening. Tomorrow it's you, tomorrow it's him, tomorrow it's me. Him, he was abducted. We were worried. We saw it on TV. Akililia akisema, oh, country ni ngumu. Mimi nimeachwa na bibi, juu siwezi afford diaper. If he's not affording, na yeye ameenda mpaka kampo, amefanya mambo ya urban planning. What about yule Mkenya ako pale chini? When it comes to hooliganism, the goons who are being sent, they are our brothers. We should fight to love each other, to G-force. You know, as a country, we will never be one. Because Kenya is a community of many nations. The Luo nation, the Kikuyu nation, the Luya nation. Hawa watu wote, they will never be one. Unless, wewe ushikane na mtu wa kabila ingine, muoane, nyi mko one. Juu mko na watoto hapo. Hawa watoto ni wa kabila gani? But we as a people, we can unite against injustices. We as a country, we can unite for unity. Na hizi vitu zinafanya mpaka mataifa jirani wanatuogopea. Leo through Nairobi Senator Sifuna walisema wataongea bungeni na Kiswahili. Ndo Mama Samia Suluhu ajue sio yeye pekee yako na suluhu katika Afrika Mashariki. Ajue bunge lake hata kama wanakielewa na kukibanya Kiswahili haimaanishi sisi wa Kenya ni wajinga. Ndo maana tunaingia huko tuwasaidie. Walisema wako sawa kwa mambo ya diplomasia, kwa mambo ya kisiasa, lakini hawako sawa. Ndo maana tunatuma Hanifa, ndo maana tunatuma majaji wetu waliokuwa, ndo maana tunatuma wanaharakati hawa waingie pale. Ndo katika hili tundu kutokee Lissu awape suluhu basi ya ukweli hawa Tanzania. It's upon us the people. Wewe kesho usikie mbunge wa kwingine amenini, unafaa unajua chances zako zinakuwa narrowed down. Kenyans wanafaa wafike mahali waseme vile sisi tulisema. Until when? What does the constitution say? There is a very deliberate plan ya IEBC kuwe stalled. Do kusikue na by-elections in this country. Yet some constituencies are lacking representatives. Some wards are lacking representatives. Kenyans, wakatae.
Okay, that is very well said. Concerning that, it is something that should be raising eyebrows. So much statistics given over there. Now moving on to a little bit of politics, because we cannot talk much about the abductions. It's not on our ground for us to ensure justice is served, but for the security agencies who have already, the word is gone because
it's upon us.
It's upon
Let me
us.
clarify. It's upon us.
It's upon us.
If we are leaving these matters in the hands of security agencies, we are doomed. It is the security agencies who are doing this. It was in public domain And on media houses on Friday when they attempted to abduct him, they said alipenya. If alipenya, alifaa kushikwa, apelekwe mahali. To assume vile ambavyo wanasema. Leo nimekuwa nikisikiza the chairperson for JLAC, Justice and Legal Affairs Committee. Honorable Mugoka hapo hivyo. Akisema because he's a politician, anaweza kujiabduct. Let's talk about the cost of that vis-a-vis the cost of wewe kujipeleka polisi. Nikijipeleka polisi, the whole country knows niko hii polisi. Everything that happens, hawa ndo wako responsible. Si ndio? The alternative ni nijichukue, nijiabduct, nijitocha, alafu nijieke kitu kwa ulimi, nisiweze kuongea na nisemee, haya, nitupeni huko kwenye walikuwa wamenitupa. Why would I do that as an MP? A first-term MP who has defied the odds, ameingia, asijui anafanya vitu, ametoka maingia opposition tena. He has a whole life and career hapo hivyo, yenye it's easier done for him akipitia sheria vile inasema. Vile Salasia anafanya. Siku hizi Salasia nimemwona Kajiado, si ndio?
Yeah.
Wewe kujipeleka polisi sio kitu kubwa sana. Yeah. So tusiseme au tuachie security agencies.
Alafu mimi swali yangu ni why are police abducting people and yet the government deployed at the army? I feel the army is better in charge of the country because they were already deployed 30-minute session. After bunge ilichomwa, they went inside in a 30-minute session to deploy the army to take over the country. That's the business of almost a month. How did they do in 30 minutes? But this is not a joke. Kaibori haizi kuwa lijificha because during the weekend we saw in Western police firing live bullets on the homecoming of Malala. We saw it. We saw that. Before that, we saw the police besieging the home of Munyoro, because anybody that is coming close to Gachagua is becoming an enemy to the government. And so the police should not come here, and even the NCCIC, they are trying to tell people to go and register reports. How can we go and register a report when you yourself, you are abducting people, you are killing people on the street? So I feel that it is better we have a way forward. It is better the people of Kenya stop fearing. When we lose our fear, they lose their power. Because as on my side, Kenya belongs to the army. It does not belong to the police. Yeah.
Okay. I don't understand what that means really. What Kenya belongs to the army and not the police. What do you mean by that statement?
What I mean is, if we had a CDF that is powerful, like Traore, he can take this government because they were deployed. If you deploy the army is used. That's why you saw people being shot in parliament by the army. Because when you deploy, the army is external security. It can never be internal security. But when you have army on the street of Nairobi, it means that they're in charge of Kenya. So it is theirs. So polisi anafaa kuwa kilala saa 3, anaamuka 5. Hakuna kazi ya polisi Kenya. I feel that is how it is happening even in Burkina Faso.
So you think the country should be led by the army?
We don't have a CDF that is powerful.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Now let's talk a little bit about siasa za Mrima. The Star says fallout looms as Gachagua Jubilee fight for dominance, and this is of the Mount Kenya, and it's really a fight because kila mtu anavuta kwake. Like it's a stake and everyone is pulling on his side. Kindiki is pulling from this side, Gachagua is pulling on this side, and Jubilee is also pulling on the other side. And experts say that if actually Jubilee manages to stabilize its grip on the mountain, Gachagua will probably lose his prominence, because if you look at the politics of Gachagua, it's really centered on attacking President William Ruto. I don't believe, or let me say I've not seen yet how his manifestos are or what he's planning to do for Kenyans, because if you look at his campaign mode, it is majorly targeting the president. If you look at the logo of the party Skiza wa Kenya, it is I feel like it's also targeting the government, because even it could be something. What happens to the case when he's the president and then his logo is Skiza wa Kenya? It becomes, confusing. And if you look at his politics also of still attacking the government, where there are musicians who are told that because you went to this, we're not supposed to be following you up, we're not supposed to be listening to your music and all that. So if Jubilee really gets their grip tight, Gachagua will probably lose out on the Mount Kenya. That is my thought. Ujwang, what's your thought?
My thoughts are the mountain is still on a volcano mode. It will erupt. Bado mapema. But when all is said and done, Jubilee, they call it home. Because all these people came from Jubilee. They came from an association with the former president, Uhuru Kenyatta. If it's Rigathi, his first time to be an MP is because of Jubilee Party. And everyone else in Mount Kenya. If they went to TSP, it is because they felt disgruntled and something like that. But we've seen political parties come and die natural death, but they are still alive. They're just shells. Do you know why? If your party will lack an agenda or ideology, it will die. For example, in the year 2007, there was creation of Party of National Unity, PNU. Its sole idea was to give the then President Mwai Kibaki a second term. Hiyo party ilikuja na ikaisha. NAC, National Rainbow Coalition, the same thing. But if you look at parties like KANU, parties like ODM, they were built on a certain niche. In the year 2005, there was the orange and banana politics around referendum 2005, a constitutional referendum that the people of Kenya rejected. The orange became a party. With Gachagua's party, the need was, mimi si kusikizwa. It was like a revenge plan. Iko sawa. But if you look at it positively, beneath every need, there lies an opportunity. And the opportunity and the need is, the current regime is not listening to Kenyans. I am part of that regime, and I've been shed off. My problem was, I did not come with the party. Why did I not have a party? Because I trusted you. There are news about when Rigathi called party ya Moses Kuria kachama kaufala sana, chama cha kazi. Na yeye Moses Kuria akamwambia hapana, sisi tumejanjaruka, acha tuingie kwa hii coalition na chama. Akamwambia hapana, mimi naamini Ruto. Kulingana na vile ambavyo nimesikia mabishop huko mtaani wanasema, naamini Ruto. That need ndio imefanya afungue chama kinaitwa DCP, Democracy for Citizens Party. Inaweza last, but saa hizi ni kama haina ideology. Ideology ni moja, one term. Will it sell at the moment? Yes. Ask me why. Myself, I've never been a fan of either Rigathi Gachagua or the new party DCP. But ukiingia kwa ground, unasikia watu wakisema, huyu wa Monyoro ndio hatuwezi pe presidency, lakini atasukuma wave. If anyone doubts if Rigathi can pull up a wave, then anafaa arudi nyuma 202, asome chenye alifanya. The Mount Kenya Yellow Fever wave was sponsored by him. If he can do that in someone's party, mtu wa kutoka Rift Valley, what about in his own party? He says he will have 152 MPs. Siwezi pingana na yeye. I will only say it's a matter of time. Kwa nini? The enemy, according to the opposition, is one. Listen to Martha Karua. Anasema, msituangalie tu hivi mnaona tunapigana. By the time inafika 2027, lazima tutakuwa tumepata the candidate who will bail the cat. And hiyo time ikifika, si kila mtu atakuwa hapo hivyo.
Tutajua.
People like Dennis will not have to cry. All they will have to do is enda kwa polling station, make sure umevote. Juu nilisema hapa tena nikasema, sisi vijana tuko na power, tuko na energy, tuko na time, and we never exercise that. We just talk about it. Ikifika ni time ya kuvote unasema, na mbona nikawachague wajitajirishe. Hiyo kishapita tunangoja 5 years crying again.
Okay.
We can do different things 2027.
Now Kimani, from where you say, do you think Gachagua will lose his popularity once Jubilee is on the ground fully?
The calculations of Gachagua are, because I heard him tell Matiang'i to go and open a party of the Kisii Pigori people so that they can sweep all the votes. You know, Matiang'i came in to vie with Jubilee. Already Jubilee was in power. Watu wameona Jubilee imekuwa na tangles mob. So it will be not easy for Jubilee to sweep all the votes. So what Gachagua is advising Matiang'i is very appropriate and political. Because Jubilee obviously is not in government. It will support Matiang'i. Therefore, it is good that we have a party that Matiang'i resembles, and it is his party, so that he can be able to sweep all the votes in Luo Nyanza. For Gachagua and his party, it's good. One thing that I know is that William Ruto was URP, Gachagua was partyless. But they changed Democratic Party name, and then they came up with UDA. Actually, UDA is not for PDR. William Ruto or Gachagua. PDR. It was PDR. So PDR was changed to what it is, UDA. So that is not a party of anybody. Actually, it was from Mudhama. And you can see this government is rogue, because even the owners of the party that is ruling now, they were thrown out. They are nowhere in this government. You can see even they have thrown out the deputy party leader. They have installed another party leader through handpicking. So what I want to tell Kenyans is that if we continue looking at the politics of regions, we are going to lose it. And me, I'm not seeing this revolution going to 2027. William Ruto is not going to 2027, because the Finance Bill 2023 is in court. Finance Bill 2024, Parliament was banned. It is in court. So what are we waiting for to hear in the Finance Bill 2025? That's why I'm telling the youth, prepare yourself. Hii ni mwezi wa mambo mengi, because we have to stop the Finance Bill. We are not going to be read. So I don't feel we have anything to wait for 2027. We have to sweep and bloom it now, because we are still suffering. When you look at this gazette, varsity fees are not yet paid. They are saying pay varsity fees here. So if people in the university are still complaining, parents say they cannot afford fees for their children, why do you have to wait for 2027? Again, if people's children are dying, we are going to stay silent till 2027 and continue dying, because in this same gazette we have seen even the ministers themselves, they are not in the same footage. We have seen Badi and Minister of Tourism. They are fighting over the renovation of Bomas. And why is it we are having upside down priorities? Because is it the priority to rehabilitate Bomas at this time, when people are suffering, when pesticides have we have no healing for pesticides? You can see in our farms, pesticides imekuwa nyingi sana. There is mercury leakage in Gusiland. What have the government done to compensate all those people who mercury liwasumbua? So I feel that it is not time to rehabilitate. The cabinet should not be fighting at easy 4.5 or 8 billion that could renovate Bomas of Kenya. And this is the thing that made us go to the street, because State House is being renovated every year with a lot of money, but we have nothing on the table. So let us not politicize or make politics tribal. Tuangalie mbele, because the finance bill is losing for us. By the way, peke yangu sindunui diaper. Ni wengi
diaper. Okay, that is very well said, that siasa za regions will disrupt us as a country. Our time is really not on our side. Muda wetu umeyoyoma. Waswahili wasema muda wetu umeyoyoma. But in the spirit of kuzungumza Kiswahili, so muda wetu umetupa kisogo, and I love to give you each a minute, not more than a minute, to give a final remark, 30 seconds each, kwa sababu muda umeisha.
Sawa. And in the spirit of that kisogo, Taifa Leo wanasema, wameka picha ya Martha Karua, wanasema tuna siri ya kung'oa Ruto, and the plan is one. Wewe unatakaga kukuwa president, fanya mazoezi. Uko na agenda kwa hawa Kenya, fanya kampeni yako, kila mtu afanye yake. Ikifika 2027, kama tutafika, nasikia Deno anasema tunaweza kosa kufika, Mungu ndo anajua. Ikifika wakati huo, basi upinzani wote wataungana kuhakikisha kwamba one term inafika.
Okay. Kimani?
One time ni hadi kwa Suluhu. We're sweeping everything.
Na
Suluhu is in 4 months, in 5 months.
Mimi nataka kuuliza watu wenye wanasema sisi ni wa kabila. Muguka iko anti-band. Muguka haiwezi uzwa saa tena. Sasa the hand-picked deputy president asaidie watu wa Muguka. What I want to say is that, as I have said, we are on the street this June. I want to tell guys, manzi, wacheni kufia. The revolution is not an apple that falls when it is ripe. You have to make it fall. And therefore, Kenya tulianzisha June 25th, haikumalizia. Bangladesh tu ndio walimaliza. And therefore, tutokee streets this June 25th. Thank you very much.
As kama nahodha, I would like to give also a final remark that Dennis, I know you're really an ambassador of we should go to the street, but I think we should get other solutions. We don't have to go to the streets. And I hope we get that solution. So that has been a newspaper review with my guest here in studio, that is Ojwang Maria and Kimani Dennis. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for making time for us this morning. Until next week, on Tuesday, it will be a different month, the month of June, my birthday